All right, this is SSL Family Dad with Simple Sustainable Living, and today we're going to get an outlet put behind this TV. So we have our basement renovation all done down here. If you're interested in seeing that, or if you haven't been following along, you can go ahead and click the eye in the upper right hand corner of your screen and check out those videos. I'll put links to those there. But we mounted this TV up actually about a year ago. This was mounted, as you can see behind it, we've got the old paint behind the mount here. This was mounted about a year ago, and I was going to put the outlet behind it, but I was kind of waiting to renovate this basement to get the electrical redone and things like that before I did that. So it's time to get this done. We are sick of having all the cables hanging down from this TV. It's nice, you know, everything looks nice down here. The TV's all mounted on the wall, and then you've got these cables hanging down. So we want to get rid of those. So we're going to do two things. We're going to put an electrical outlet right behind the TV, and we're also going to put a AV chase, or basically a little port in the wall that allows you to slide your HDMI or coaxial cables or whatever from here down below to if you have a shelf or something where you put your DVD player or Xbox or whatever else you have, your TV box, cable box, things like that. So that way we won't see any cables. That's the idea. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you some of the ways to start planning and preparing before you get started here in order to find where your electrical source is going to come from. All right, so a couple decisions that you're going to need to make before you get started here. So generally you're going to pull power from an outlet. If you have an outlet directly below where your TV is mounted on the wall, that makes things very, very easy. But generally your outlet might be, you know, one or two stud cavities over from your TV mount, you know, in either direction. You also want to do is look what's on the other side of the wall, if you have a bedroom or something like that on the other side of your wall, and see if you can, if there's an outlet, you know, in the stud cavity directly under your TV on that side. You could also pull power that way. So the idea here is that we just need to find an outlet that's down below here on the wall somewhere where we're going to be able to run a wire up the stud cavity and get it over to behind our TV. Now in this case, in the mount here, I've got these empty spaces on each side of my mount, so I can put those, the AV chase and the outlet right in those sections. That's not going to interfere with the mount in any way. You may even have to come all the way out here, depending on how big your TV is. You come all the way out here on the side of the mount, you could go above the mount or below the mount or on the other side. So that's totally up to you. So in my case, I'm actually a little bit lucky. On the back side of this wall is a unfinished basement, and so I can pull power wires through anywhere I need to. But if I didn't have that, what I'd want to do is, I got an outlet right here on the wall, and I know that there's a stud sitting right on this side of it, and so I know I've got a 16-inch or whatever 15-inch stud cavity here, and then I know that there's another stud right here. I found that when I mounted the TV. So I have another stud that comes down right here. So what I would want to do is probably put my outlet on this side, and then I would need to drill through the stud on this side, and then I would need to put a fish line down and grab power from that outlet, pull that wire up into this stud cavity on the side here, and then I'd put my box in. So let me show you the tools that we're going to use to get in here and get this started, and we'll get our electrical outlet put in first. Okay, so a few things that you're going to need to do this job, and I will go through some of the supplies you need to purchase first, and then some of the tools that are nice to have. So you'll need some type of a box to mount your outlet in. I always use metal boxes, and I'll show you how I'm mounting this. I actually drilled 2 holes in this regular handy box here, and this will be what I'll use to mount my electrical outlet. You can get what's called old work boxes that will clip or clamp right onto drywall, or have other type of screw mechanisms, plastic or metal, that will go into a stud that you're, you know, not new construction, but you're dealing with a drywall cut hole and things like that. So you can check with your home improvement stores for other types of electrical boxes. This is just what I'm using. We're also going to need this AV chase, or in-wall cabling kit, as it's called here. I will put links in the description to all of these things as well as these tools on Amazon. So anything that I have here you can check out or purchase right from Amazon before you get started. This just comes with the 2 wall plates here and your hardware, which actually clamps it to a regular drywall hole. This doesn't mount to a stud. This is just a recessed outlet. It's a special kind of outlet that has a recessed receptacles here that show your plug goes in, and the cords, don't take up a lot of space. You don't have the whole head of your cord sticking out of the wall behind the TV. So it recesses about this much of it. Wire nuts. You'll need some wire nuts, usually yellow, orange, or red, depending on the receptacle that you're gonna, or the wiring you have in your home and where you're gonna tie into. So I've got some of these laying around that we'll use. You're going to need some wire. This is 14-2. I've got extra of this laying around. This will work with a 15 amp circuit, and that's the circuit breaker that I have that I'm tying into. You want to make sure that you have the right type of wire, that it matches the same type of wire, same gauge and everything that you're tying into in your wherever you're finding your power. Tools. So we've got I've talked about these before. I will put a link in the description of this. This is the nicest, handiest little set of wire strippers that I've ever used. They're very small, sharp. They just work very, very well. So also something I always talk about every time I do electrical work, and it has, I'll show you this in action. This is a great tool for stripping the insulation off of your wire here. It also does multi different things as well. So I'll show you that here in a little bit. Link in the description to that as well. What I do to cut drywall, you can use lots of different things, but I use a Sawzall blade. So I've got an old Sawzall blade, and I just put some electrical tape around part of it, and I use that as a little saw to cut through drywall. Works very well. Stud finder is very good to have. This one here is, there's lots of different options out there. I like this one because it gives you the pencil point right in the middle of it. So as soon as you line up with your stud, you can just put your pencil right in there, and it'll give you the dead center on that stud and mark it easy. This is also handy to have if you need to fish wire. So this is an electrical fish tape. This you can use, this is 25 foot, so just gives you a real easy way to feed the steel band through stud cavities into outlet boxes and find things. You tape your wire to it and then pull it back through. So definitely very, very handy to have. They sell these at Home Depot, as well as I'll put a link in the description to order this stuff on Amazon. Always good to have a good screw gun or drill handy. We'll use this when we're mounting our box and for a few other little tasks here, so good to have as well, but not necessary. So here's the outlet that we're going to be working with, and here is the metal box. So what I need to do first is get this thing mounted, and I'm going to be screwing this right to the side of the stud. So I know I've got my bolts right here. They should be in the center of a stud. I think I have a double stud running through here, and so I'm going to mark out where the stud is and then get this box. I'm hoping that we'll be able to put it right over here somewhere and screw directly into a stud. But on the other side here, I've got our wire pulled in here. One thing I didn't talk about in the tools and materials list is one of these little connectors. If you're using a metal box like I am, I know there's a lot of people who disagree with these, but I really like using metal. You need one of these little clamp connectors for Alright, so now it's time to make a decision on how long we want these wires to be. We're going to use this little ripper, and this just slides right down that wire, clears that insulation all the way up, and peels right off. Isn't that great? Use our wire stripper here. So back of the outlet is labeled hot and neutral. This just has the push-in connectors, so the little hole here on each side, and that can just be pushed right in. Those lock on the other side here as well. All right, we're all done on this end, so let's get our cord plugged in here. Okay, so this is a nearby outlet, and then luckily I have access to the back of this. It's an unfinished wall on the other side, so it makes this easy. Apologize about the light and the shadows the circuit breakers off so I don't have any light down here. So right now I'm just this is the wire that's leads up to our new outlet, and I'm actually kind of fixing some of the outlets and other circuits and stuff in here at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hooked together. So I'm just going to use my little ripper here again to get the insulation cleared out. And this is a little deeper box. I've got a little more room to work in here. All right, so we're on the other side of our TV mount here. We've got our electrical outlet over on the other side right there. And then we've got this space back here where cables will be able to feed through the mount. So I'm gonna mount our little cable chase here, somewhere right in the middle of this area. There's just a little bump out at the top and the bottom here, so. All right, I think that's it. Surprisingly, that actually holds in there pretty darn good. So we'll get our faceplate put on here, and we'll be done. Man, that sure is a lot nicer, not having any of those cables hanging here on this TV. It looks a lot cleaner and definitely a lot nicer. So happy to have this project finished. I've been meaning to do this for quite some time. So we've got our HDMI cable, in-wall HDMI cable run down to our Xbox. That'd be the same for like a cable box or a satellite box or whatever you have to use there. We also have a coaxial cable that will come in because we do use the antenna TV from time to time. This is actually also hooked up to a backup circuit in our home. We have a backup generator. I very specifically wired this into an outlet that is on that backup generator circuit, so if there is an emergency or power outage, our TV will work and we can use the antenna to pick up any emergency news or anything like that during any type of power outage. So tips and tricks after going through this in this situation. I've done a couple of these TVs, but every one of them is different. Every time I mount a TV or do the outlet, it's always a different situation. Before I put that AV cable chase, the bottom one in there, I would have run my cables through it. Through the bigger hole, I could have easily reached in there and grabbed the cable with my arm or my hand or a wire or a fish tape or whatever you're going to use and fed that through. Luckily, I have access to the back of this wall because it's unfinished on the other side, so that wasn't hard for me to find it. But if you weren't in that situation, you want to make sure you grab those cables and pull them through that little cover plate first, and then go ahead and mount your box. That way you're not trying to fish those through afterwards. So if you guys are looking to do this in your home or just looking for ideas, if you have questions before you get started, please let me know. Again, in the description there will be a link to all of the items, the products that I used. I bought all on Amazon, as well as the tools. A lot of the tools that I use are that little ripper and that little wire strippers and stuff like that. I'll put links to those on Amazon too. As always, guys, thumbs up on the video. Reach down and tap that thumbs up button. Makes a huge difference. And if you want to subscribe and follow along, there's that big subscribe button, as well as hit that bell next to it. Make sure you get notifications about new videos that we release. So love to hear from you guys. Love to have you guys follow along. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.